Hello everyone, and welcome to the Madden 21 Fantasy Draft class. The idea behind this class is to bring you a more in-depth scouting experience to add to your connected franchise mode. This is a 100% customized class with fictional characters, which includes 70 plus player profiles highlighting the athlete's strengths and weaknesses. All of the players' ratings are similar to the Madden rookie rating scale. What I mean by this is that the highest rating you will find is an 80 overall, just as rookie Chase Young was rewarded this year. From what I've gathered, this year's rookie class has 68 players rated above 70, with 11 of them being higher than 75. So I designed this fantasy draft class to be similar to those overalls. The last thing I did when I created this class was go back 5 years in the NFL draft and figure out the average amount of positions drafted in each round and set my rookie projections to that number. For example, on average, 11 to 12 quarterbacks get drafted into the NFL every year, with 3 of them going in the first round. So this fictional class will reflect the same data. Also, if you're unsure on how to download a draft class into your franchise, I'll link the video below with instructions on how it's done. The most important tip I can give you when scouting these players is to completely avoid the green and red diamonds. These are usually revealed when a player is fully scouted. I purposely made these inaccurate to make it more challenging of a class to scout. You will find superstars and busts throughout all of the rounds and into the undrafted players. Good luck scouting. Now let's dive into the number one prospect on the big board. To kick off the draft, we have the number one quarterback from Southern California, Noah Church. In only his first year starting, he did everything a college football player could dream of: winning a Heisman Trophy, going undefeated, and bringing a national championship back to campus. He did this with ease, having one of the strongest arms the NFL has ever seen, immediately linking him with companies such as Pat Mahomes and Josh Allen. On top of the arm strength, he shows poise and comfort standing tall in the pocket, delivering accurate strikes all over the field. He may be slow as a rock, but he forces defenses to cover every inch of the field on arm talent alone. The number 2 player in the class is the left tackle from Alabama, Amani Coleman. He has everything you can ask for in a franchise player with very few weaknesses to his game. He excels in the run game, often putting opponents on their backs, and is very much an above average pass blocker, only allowing 2 sacks total the past 2 seasons. He has a strong frame with a good base, which has teams excited about his potential going forward. Here we go with Jamal Wilkerson. At 6'5", 350 pounds, he's one of the strongest players in the class. Demolishes opponents, throwing around guards, tackles, centers, all of them to get to the quarterback. The issue with him is he takes plays off. If he's not in the mood, he does not give maximum effort. You might as well take him off the field because he's useless. But when he wants to, he's easily top 5 talent in the class. If his potential hits, he has what it takes to become a future Hall of Famer. It's just a matter of getting him focused and dialed in enough to become the best version of himself. Now we have Willie Wilson, the Penn State linebacker, an athletic freak. He absolutely aced the combine drills, basically top 3 in every category. The knock on him is that he actually struggles at the basic football fundamentals: tackling, block shedding, catching the ball, but he's elite at being at the right place at the right time. It's just whether or not he makes the play. Coaches believe they can bring him in, coach him up, teach him the fundamentals, and have him be number 1 linebacker for years to come. The number 1 running back in the class is the Wisconsin standout, Adonis Jackson. He finished his sophomore campaign with just under 2,000 yards rushing and 300 receiving yards. This man is an absolute burner, the fastest running back in the class with great vision to pair with it. His quickness, elusiveness, and agility go along great with his skill set, which leaves defensive coordinators up at night. Before he was the bell cow home run hitting running back for Wisconsin this season, he was also their starting returner all of his freshman year, which he brought back 3 returns. Some have compared him to Tennessee Titans great CJ2K. Running backs don't always go this high in the draft, but one thing that always translates from NCAA to NFL is speed, and he's got plenty of it. The top DB in the nation, the Jim Thorpe Award winner, Quincy Collins from LSU. A 6'2", 200-pound frame makes him the perfect size to stack up with the big receivers in today's league, and his top-level speed keeps him moving with the quick guys. Q Collins is without a doubt the biggest trash talker in the class, but his play backs it up. In interceptions may have been tough to come by for him, but that's only because quarterbacks are afraid to throw him the ball. When the ball's in the air, it's his. And that means one thing, it's going to the house. Now we have Sean Pierce, a cross between Dak Prescott and Gardner Minshew, refers to himself as the people's quarterback. He has pinpoint accuracy, which has him throwing balls through tight windows or getting himself into trouble. When the pocket's collapsing, he has the mobility to escape, makes plenty of plays with his feet, and usually looks to bowl over his opponents. His teammates love him. He has what NFL teams are looking for, which is often described as the it factor. His one weakness is his arm strength. Although not elite, his accuracy and his leadership skills make up for it. And now we have Corey Chavez, the hard-hitting defensive back from Texas. He lined up at corner for the Longhorns, but is much more suited to play safety in the NFL. He's very similar to Landon Collins, as he prefers to play in the box. Although slightly undersized, he does not play like it. If he has the opportunity to knock someone out of the game, he's going to take it. And because of that mentality, he's gotten himself ejected 3 times throughout his college career. He will bring that tone-setting, hard-hitting mentality that NFL teams are looking for to the locker room. The 9th player on the board is the Alabama running back Shannon Stiles. After 3 years of sitting on the bench, he finally got the opportunity to start and didn't look back. He led the nation in rushing yards with 2,356. He's a patient runner who has no problem sitting back and waiting for the play to develop, then following the big hogs through the line of scrimmage. Kadeem Blackburn, the premier edge rusher in the class, uses his fast twitch, quick elusiveness to get around the blockers. This duck prides himself on having an arsenal of moves to help him get to the quarterback. He finished the season with 16 sacks and 22 tackles for loss. He did struggle a bit when Oregon tried to move him inside, but the moment they moved him back to his original position, he excelled. The one thing he could do to improve is hit the gym, add a little bit more strength, and he'll become much more of a force in the run game as well. The number 2 cornerback in the class is Jerron Winters. His man coverage skills are what skyrocketed him to the top of the draft. His speed is one of the main components of his game that allows him to have such sticky coverage down the field. His one issue is, once the ball's in the air, he can tend to lose track of it, and even if he does get his hands on it, he rarely catches it. Coaches believe all they have to do is bring him in, fine-tune his skill set, and he can become one of the best corners in the NFL. The consensus top receiver in the class is Clemson wide receiver Eddie Moore. He has a route tree that's way beyond his ears. He creates separation with ease against college opponents and is constantly wide open. His one downfall is the slow 40-yard dash. He ran it at the combine and again at his pro day, and it didn't improve much at all. Another negative is he's similar to Amari Cooper, where he's always wide open but tends to drop some of the easy catches. And now we have Jarrell Cole, one of the top linebackers in the class. He won't wow you with his combine numbers, but where he does stand out is what he does on the field. He's the type of player who rarely makes mistakes, always has himself in the best position to make a play, whether that's covering a tight end down the field or block shedding a fullback to make a play on the run. Here's Chuck McDaniels, a monster of a defensive tackle who punishes opponents. At 6'3", 300 pounds, he has the size to become a force for your defensive line. As of now, the one thing holding him back is conditioning. If he's able to get himself in better shape to become a 3-down player, he has the Pro Bowl caliber talent to make him an all-pro defensive tackle in this league. The 3rd quarterback in the class is West Virginia Mountaineer Lincoln Moe. He shocked some people this year, bringing his previous 3-win team to a double-digit 10-win season. He did that with one of the prettiest deep balls in the class. He has top-tier arm strength that allows him to take advantages of defenses. He can make plays on his feet when he needs to, and isn't afraid of taking a hit if it means getting his team a first down. The issue with him is unlocking his fear of throwing over the middle. He has the skill set for tight window throws all over the field, but is often too scared to risk the turnover. If you can coach him through that, he may just have what it takes to become your team's franchise quarterback. Kansas corner James Barnett, a little small for the position at 5'10", 185 pounds. He makes up for it with his quick hips and elite zone coverage skills. He mostly played outside throughout his career, but he envisions himself as a Chris Harrott slot corner type. Boise State defensive end Kai Jenkins. He isn't the heaviest guy in the field, but he may be the strongest. Absolute monster of a run stopper. He lives for those 4th and 1 and goal line scenarios. The one thing he needs to improve on is consistency. He has a tendency to take some plays off. Up next is right tackle Russell Abbott, a 4-year starter at Stanford who's played guard and tackle. Some say because of his short arms he may be better suited inside at guard in the NFL, especially since sometimes he struggles against speed coming off the edge. And now we have the Georgia Bulldog Carl Pittman, a little short for the position, but he makes up with it with his hit power, relentless effort, and his football IQ. He can struggle against elite tackles, so he may have to be schemed open to get a lane towards the quarterback, but if he breaks free, it's very possible you're looking at a sack fumble. This dog brings that aggressiveness a lot of coaches are looking to have on that side of the ball. Armani Lynch, the 6'2", 243-pound Texas Tech run-stopping linebacker. As the captain of his defense, he made shedding blocks look easy and was consistently in the backfield tackling ball carriers. The one part of his game where he tends to struggle is in zone. Coaches believe that with his athletic background, they'll be able to put him in position to make plays on the ball, hoping that scheme was the only issue with his past few seasons at Texas Tech. The big boy defensive end, Tavon Baxter, a 6'5", 300-pound defensive end with full control of his body. He may not always know where the play is developing, but he's going to get there fast. He's a little full of himself, but he's also a great team leader and a good guy to have in the locker room. The number 2 receiver in the class is Sidney Blades, the Florida State big man. Absolutely balled out this season with 14 receiving touchdowns, just his first year as a Seminole. He doesn't have elite speed, especially for NFL standards, and also at times struggles to create separation when running routes, but he makes up for it with his phenomenal concentration when catching deep balls and his aggressive attitude when going after the ball. Scott Winchester, the 6'2", 246-pound Auburn linebacker, brings that mean streak attitude to the defense. He's pretty solid in coverage, and he consistently forces fumbles and creates turnovers for the Tiger defense. Auburn lined him up outside because he doesn't have the top end speed to cover sideline to sideline. Left tackle Antoine Kilgore from Clemson. He's one of those prospects that makes you trust the tape instead of looking at the combine scores. In his 2 years at Clemson, he allowed absolutely 0 sacks. As of now, he's an elite pass blocker, but if he adds a little size to his frame, improves on his run blocking, he can become one of the best tackles or guards in the league. And now we have the 3rd Alabama prospect in the first round and 2nd offensive lineman Irvin Knox. Helped block for 2,000-yard running back Shannon Stiles and also allowed 0 sacks on the season. He has all the tools to become one of the best offensive linemen in the league. Antonio Lawrence from UCLA is one of those prospects that makes you question how is this even possible at 6'7", 298 pounds, and ran a sub-5 40-yard dash at the combine. He has the ability to take over games. Twice in his career has he walked away with 3 sacks in a single game. On the flip side of this, he can disappear at times. It's not because lack of effort, but more so just being outperformed on a single play, or even game. Size and power is always there, but when his technique gets sloppy, the game falls apart. If you can fix that part of his game, look out. The Notre Dame running back Malcolm Brothers, easily one of the most competitive players in the class. Has very few weaknesses to his game, can do a little bit of everything. He's most dominant at running over the competition. But he doesn't just do it when the ball's in his hands. He also loves staying in the pocket and knocking out defensive ends trying to sack the quarterback. Has a tendency to fight with teammates, but usually it's just about bettering the team. If you miss a block or make a mistake, this man's gonna hold you accountable. He finished the season with just under 1,800 rushing yards, and a whopping 1,300 of those came after contact. Former basketball player turned tight end Joshua Whitfield. When it comes to going after the ball, the game comes easy to him, but if you stick him inside and ask him to block, you may be in trouble. He's the type of player who can step in day one and get you that first down or even a touchdown, but if you ask him to play every down and learn the playbook, that's where he may struggle. It's all the potential in the world, he just needs a little bit more experience under his belt to become the best player he can be. Doug Armstrong, the 6'5", almost 260-pound Vanderbilt linebacker with top-end speed, has coaches excited about the potential he brings to the team. The biggest weaknesses to his game are all things that can be improved upon, especially when you take into account the type of player he is. First one in, last one out. Always looking to make himself better. Louisville's Dave Ramhorn, the #1 center in the class. With only 1 year starting due to previous injuries, he excelled and put everything you'd want to see on tape. The type of athlete teams are going to fall in love with. He's easily coached, always looking to improve, and a technician of the game. His only weakness is rain. He struggled multiple times snapping in shotgun in bad weather conditions this season, but if you're a dome team, this is the perfect player for you. Wesley Johnson, the 5-star #1 athlete coming out of high school. A man of many positions, Oklahoma lined him up at receiver, running back, and at one point even threw him on the defensive side at safety. Fit in best as the Swiss Army gadget-style player. Screen passes, jet sweeps, you name it. To mention, he's an elite returner as well. NFL teams may not be sure where to line him up, but they just know they want him on the team. To close out the first round, we have the guard/center, Benji Atkins from Oregon. If you get this guy's habit of penalties in order, he's going to make your quarterback and running back very happy. Besides the flags, this man's tape is phenomenal. To start the second round, we have linebacker from Michigan State, Vic Whitaker. He was a force in the middle of the defense, stacking big plays and turnovers consistently. Although his current weakness is coverage skills, his football IQ has teams buzzing about the potential of this athlete. His great tackling skills along with his run-stopping ability will have teams excited to add him to the roster. Pittsburgh tackle Sheldon Thornton. Not exactly great at any particular skills, but his consistent play, big frame, has teams buzzing about him. He shot up teams' draft boards throughout the offseason when they got him in for interviews and saw just how smart of a player he really is. Makes sense when you look at the tape and see he had very few mistakes throughout his college career. In fact, he let up 0 sacks and only a few pressures. The run on second-round safeties is about to begin with Nebraska's own Von Fletcher, the type of player who relies on his quick instincts instead of film study to make plays on the ball. He's a solid tackler who always takes the ball carrier down in one-on-one situations. He's much better deep in zone than he is manned up over a tight end or a slot. And now we have Purdue safety Andrew Harris. At 6'4", almost 230 pounds, he's got the frame to knock ball carriers out, and he looks forward to doing it. He's great in zone coverage, but without the elite speed it takes to play deep safety, you may want to keep him closer to the box so he can make plays on the run. Some teams, due to his abilities, have considered switching him over to linebacker, which depending on the depth of the roster could be a good idea. The point is, you want this man on the field at all times. The last safety scouted for the second round is Dante Booth. This Wolverine is all over the place when it comes to making plays on the ball. Forcing fumbles, grabbing interceptions, big hits, everything. He's so eager to get the ball in his hands, it's a tendency of putting himself out of position by staring down the quarterback or falling for pump fakes. Coach this man up and you could have yourself a 5 interception, 3 forced fumble, 2 sack type of player on the field. When you think country strong, you think Oklahoma State Cowboy Peter Davis. This 6'3", 250-pound defensive end has the ability to take over games, often ripping through tackles and making plays on the quarterback. What's stopping him from becoming even better is his laid-back personality that has him skipping meetings and not trying too hard in practice. If coaches can get through to him and have him playing towards his strengths, he could be the type of all-pro talent people are looking for off the edge. And now we have one of the top tight ends in the class, Iowa's own Brennan Carmichael. Day 1 ready to step into the NFL and become one of the best blocking tight ends there is. You may not be able to rely on him to run a crisp route and get open for the first down, but you can rely on him to make the block and allow his running back to get by him for a touchdown. Depending on the formation, he's also been known to line up as fullback and clear alleys that way as well. Up next is the Ohio State corner, Antoine Coleman, 6'1", 201 pounds, and he knows how to use his frame to interrupt routes and make plays on the ball. Much better in man than he is zone coverage, but he has the skill set that continues to improve year after year, which makes coaches believe he's going to get even better in the future. Cesar Medrano, Rutgers outside linebacker, 6'4", 250 plus pounds, with a phenomenal skill set which helped him get to the quarterback. He's a big header and he's solid off the edge in the run. Where he struggles with is block shedding off inside and covering pretty much anyone at all. His on-field speed is going to have coaches excited about his potential. The fourth quarterback in the class is Arizona State's William Richmond. If it wasn't for his below-average arm strength, this man would have seen himself getting drafted in the top 5. He shows elite accuracy placement on the ball and consistently throws receivers open. He's the type of player that has the moxie and leadership skills to bring a franchise to the next level. A couple things he needs to work on is holding onto the ball. Allowing 6 sack fumbles this season was not a good look for the second-round prospect. The next player on the board is USC Trojan Tremont Fields. At 6'7", 320 pounds, he has long arms and a phenomenal pass blocking skill set to protect your quarterback's blind side. If he improves his run game just a bit, he may end up turning into one of the better tackles in the league. For a second-round pick, this player on paper seems like the perfect fit. Texas A&M receiver Eli Holmes. This man's one strength is going deep. He tracks the ball well and has elite speed to get open down the field. If you want to take the top off the defense, this is the man to get. Just don't ask him to do anything else. You may be thinking you want to use his speed in the short game as well, but he's not that great with the ball in his hands. If he sticks to what he does best, he's a big play waiting to happen. Friendly reminder, just because I skip over a player and don't go over his college highlights or give his strengths and weaknesses does not mean you should not draft him. Georgia Tech offensive lineman Houston Cohen. His first couple years at Georgia Tech he lined up inside and due to injuries moved outside to help the team. He may struggle against edge rushers with speed on the outside in the NFL, so he may seem better suited at guard, but in a pinch, he can line up a tackle and get you through a game. At this point in his career, he may seem like a 6th offensive lineman on the squad who can fit in anywhere, but if he works on his footwork just a little bit, he could be one of those guys to start on the line for years to come. BYU wide receiver Jimmy Charles. At 6'2", 193 pounds, he's known to make a play with the ball in his hands. He has a great skill set which translates well to kick return and punt returning. His deep route running has him consistently getting open downfield and taking the top off the defense, but when it comes down to fighting for the ball in the air, he's not the guy you want to go to. He's lacking in the toughness department, which has him avoiding running over the middle or getting himself into harm's way. Another defensive back from Nebraska, cornerback Thurman Kelly, a big frame who doesn't use it all that well. Don't expect him to make too many plays on the run, but when it comes to making plays down the field, you can count on him. The last player we're going to cover in the second round is Tennessee offensive lineman Jabari Buchanan, a beast of a run blocker who consistently puts defensive linemen on their butts. If it wasn't for his penalties and his weak pass blocking, this man would have seen himself making a lot more money on draft day. To kick off the third round, we have quarterback Joey Jones, an enigma of a prospect. He is a do-it-all athlete that a lot of NFL teams would rather see him playing at wide receiver or even running back, but he swears he's the best quarterback in the class. If the team that drafts Joey Jones truly changes their playbook up to revolve around his skills, he has the type of superstardom to take a team to the playoffs. He doesn't have elite throw power, but he is accurate with his ball placement down the field. One of the knocks on him is that as much as he claims he wants to be the best quarterback in the class, he often looks to scramble and is very paranoid in the pocket. If coaches get a hold of him and teach him to stay in the pocket and throw the ball over the middle and in through tight windows, he's got the type of ability that teams are searching for. And if all else fails, the man is going to sell tickets. The next prospect we're going to cover is cornerback from Wisconsin, Stephen Hollis. At only 5'8" and 187 pounds, he is small for the position, but he packs a punch. He's a bit of a scrapper. He brings that attitude to the defense you like. And when it comes to zone coverage, he has a knack for making a play on the ball. Once you get him on the roster, he may end up stealing the starting punt return position as well. And now we have middle linebacker Frank Compton from Arizona. He's a great run stuffer, and he's pretty good in coverage, but the one thing that he lacks is speed. He may have to switch to outside backer in the NFL just so he doesn't have to cover sideline to sideline as much, but with the right opportunity, he could be a solid starter for years to come. When it comes to tough guys, there's none tougher than running back from Ole Miss, Richie Rose. He's the type of runner who cares more about punishing his opponents than gaining yards from scrimmage. He doesn't care if it's on kickoff smacking heads or if it's running the ball, he's going to bowl you over. He's very much what you would call a north to south runner. Put him in on 3rd and short or goal line and watch him make a play. Up next is wide receiver from LSU, Frank Bush. At 6'1", 204 pounds, he has solid size and does everything you'd ask a wide receiver to do. Phenomenal route runner, holds onto the ball, and always comes down with it. The one thing he's lacking is speed and the skill set to make plays after the catch. With a receiver like Frank Bush and the potential he has in the mid-rounds of the draft, he could be a steal. Colorado defensive tackle Glenn Murray, 6'3", 315-pound big boy who loves to stop the run. He's not the type of defensive lineman to play every down and has some stamina issues, but when he is in the lineup, he's going to crack some skulls. Duke tight end Deacon Gee. This former defensive lineman is 6'4", 250 pounds, and is relatively new to the position. As of right now, he's still learning all the nuances of the position, such as extending his routes or staying inside to block. But with his toughness and his athleticism, he's showing that he has what it takes to be a good tight end. LSU cornerback Reggie McKnight. Let's start with the negatives. When you throw on the tape, the only time he stands out is when he's making mistakes, missing tackles, or letting a man get open. But as soon as he makes a play where he has the ball in his hands, he lights it up. If he has an opportunity to capitalize on a quarterback's mistake and catch the ball, he's taking it back to the house. He has electric returning skills. He's brought back 8 returns throughout his college career, punt and kick combined. For everything this man can't do on defense, he's worthy of this draft spot because of what he'll bring to your return game. He's one of the fastest corners in the draft and has great hands to go along with it. He's going to find a spot on your roster. Buffalo University's running back Javier Griffin. Once drafted, he'll immediately become the smallest man in the NFL. Standing at only 5'5", he has a strong base at 183 pounds. And as far as running backs are concerned, he may be the most explosive in the class. He's one of those backs who's always looking for a cutback lane or a way to flip the script and go the other way. He shies away from contact as much as possible, and when he is hit, he has an occasional problem with fumbling. But the issue is you gotta hit him first. This man has all the moves you can think of. Spin, juke, jurtle, everything. He's a big play waiting to happen. If you can get him the ball in open space, watch what he does with it. He can step in day one and become the third down back. He can also help with kick return and punt returning. And now we have Miami linebacker Cordell Sanders. He's very fast for the position and has decent coverage skills. Throughout his college career, he laid the wood a few times, but he may need to add some muscle to be able to do that in the NFL. A positive about him is he loves the game, constantly in the locker room, helping his teammates, helping himself grow and becoming the best person he can be. Pittsburgh's wide receiver, Brad Ross. He's not the fastest player in the draft, but when the ball's in his hands, he makes things happen. Consistently getting yards after the catch, Pitt schemed a lot of screen passes and short routes for him to get open. The first thing he would like to work on is extending his route tree. Get him in camp and start having him work with the other receivers so he can improve that part of his game. He's a hard worker who's dedicated to the sport. He may not be the best blocker right now, but he carries the mindset to get better. Tennessee safety Sherman Lincoln. A very tall player who likes to use his body to knock out opponents. Sometimes this can be viewed as a negative, since instead of securing the tackle, he's trying to knock the player out. But that won't matter as much if you play him where his strength is, and that's deep in zone coverage. Although he doesn't have the best speed for the position, he's absolutely elite at covering sideline to sideline and anticipating where the ball is going to go. He finished his career at Tennessee with 6 interceptions. The last tight end we'll be going over is Deion Buckley from Washington State. He's more of an all-around solid player, does everything pretty well, but doesn't exactly excel at any one particular part to his game. The one thing he can improve on a little bit is his blocking, and his biggest strength is his ability to go downfield. Maryland's wide receiver Lee Leak, one of the best route runners in the class, consistently getting open whether he lines up outside or inside at slot. He has solid hands, but he does struggle in jump ball situations. One thing pushing his stock down in the draft is his speed. He's a little slow for the position, but if you put him in the right situations to succeed, he could be a great player. And now we have Alabama cornerback Lester Wooden. At 5 foot 10 inches, 190 pounds, he uses his frame to the best of his ability. One of his strengths is how he plays the ball when it's in the air, and something he needs to work on a little bit is reacting to the run. I'm going to take this opportunity to ask that if you are enjoying this video, please hit the like button below and subscribe to the channel. We're going to cover back-to-back Alabama players with this fullback, Casey Knott. The position may be dying a bit in today's NFL, but if you're a team who likes having a fullback lined up in the backfield, this might just be the man for you. A 3-year starter for the Roll Tide, he helped his running back Shannon Stiles go for over 2,000 yards this season. It may be tough sledding for him to make a roster, since he's not that great on special teams, but if you're in the need for a tough-nosed fullback who's going to open up some holes for your backfield, Casey Knott can do just that. Quarterback Kevin Wesovich from LSU. A tall player who's very careful with the ball. He limits his turnovers, and that's how he's brought the Tigers to back-to-back opportunities in the playoffs. He may not be the type of quarterback who's going to win games for you throwing the ball down the field, but he's also not going to lose them for you either. Using his mobility to extend plays and only taking chances when necessary, he's a solid quarterback to add to the roster. Tyrone Gates, the tough-nosed, hard-hitting linebacker from Western Kentucky. He's probably not going to win your starting linebacker position, but where he will show up and play right away is on special teams. Great on kickoff, great on punt coverage, where he uses his aggressive mentality to create turnovers with forced fumbles and big hits. As far as at the linebacker spot, he can come in and stop the run, he just needs some work on his coverage skills. Penn State keeping up with tradition with some more athletic freaks, you have safety Ace Farley. Recruited out of high school to run track, he decided to use his abilities to walk on the football team, where the coaches decided he would be best suited to play deep in zone coverage. Being fairly new to the sport, he has a lot to learn, but with his athleticism and his high ceiling, coaches are excited about what he can become. The last quarterback we're going to cover is Wisconsin's Michael Murray. He relied heavily on tossing the ball to his all-star running back Adonis Jackson, but when that wasn't the case, he used his mobility and scrambling skills to extend the ball down the field. He hides his negatives well, like deep ball accuracy, by avoiding to throw into any tight window situations or contested catch opportunities. His game has shown steady improvements throughout his years, which proves he has room to grow. Ali Fitzgerald, the punter from California. He consistently flips the field position, punts inside the 20, and accurately kicks it out of bounds when necessary. The plus side to his game is his decent arm, so if you have any fake punts planned, he can execute them if it depends on him throwing the ball. North Texas kicker Scotty Haskins. He has the ability to kick from 50 plus with a long of 59 on the season. He's the type of kicker you can depend on when it comes down to kicking game-winning field goal situations. The last player we're going to cover is center Frank Moore, a team captain at Tennessee, who put together some strong film and has solid technique to grow on. If you get this man in the weight room to add a little strength, you can battle for a starting position on your offensive line. To finish out the video, I just want to say thank you so much for watching. I appreciate every one of you more than you can know. If you're not already, please like and subscribe to the channel. I'll be dropping detailed videos similar to this one all year long. And please, if you can, hop on your Xbox and download this class. You can find it by searching by Gamertag, which is the same as this channel, ChiliChill23. It's the class labeled Fantasy Draft Class with the description. For those of you who are downloading, please reach out to me on Twitter at ChiliChill23 and send me pictures of your draft class with updates as your players progress through their careers. It would be amazing to see how everyone does in their own franchises. Again, thank you guys so much and good luck scouting.